Hello, my wonderful friends. Welcome to N on English channel. Today, I am bringing you an incredible and deeply inspiring success story, the journey of Colonel Sanders and how he created KFC at the age of 65. But before we get into the details, let me ask you something. Are you 25 and feeling like you haven't achieved enough? Are you 40 and still struggling, wondering if success is out of reach? Are you unemployed and feeling as though you have no hope for the future? Do you see successful people and think, maybe success just isn't meant for me? If any of this sounds familiar, let me stop you right there, because you are not a failure. You are not out of time. There is still a chance for you. And today, I'm going to show you why. Colonel Sanders, the man who created KFC, experienced failure after failure throughout his life. At 65 years old, he was broke, jobless, and had no future. But instead of giving up, he turned his situation around. While most people retire at 65, he built a billion-dollar empire. Listen carefully, because after hearing his story, you will understand that success has no age limit and that failure is simply part of the journey. If you love motivational and inspiring content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video so more people can see it, and comment below "I will never give up" to show your commitment. I bring you the best motivational and educational stories every day, so make sure you are part of this journey. Now let's get into the unbelievable story of Colonel Sanders, the man who transformed failure into a billion-dollar success. Let's go back in time to September 9, 1890, when a baby boy named Harlan David Sanders was born in a small house in Henryville, Indiana, USA. From the beginning, life was tough for him. At just 5 years old, tragedy struck. His father passed away suddenly, leaving his mother alone with 3 children. Imagine being 5 years old, waking up one morning, and realizing that your father will never come back. His mother was heartbroken, but she had no time to grieve. She had to work long hours just to feed her children. What did that mean for young Harlan? He cooked for his family, looked after his younger siblings, and did all the household chores. But something incredible happened. This was when Harlan discovered his love for cooking. Little did he know, this small passion would one day change the world. Harlan was a smart boy, but life didn't give him the chance to study. By the time he was 7, he had to work on a farm. At 10 years old, he was working full-time as a farmhand, earning just $2 per month. Can you imagine working an entire month for just $2? His life was incredibly hard. By the time he was 12, he had had enough. His mother remarried, but his stepfather was abusive. One day, young Harlan decided he couldn't stay any longer. At just 12 years old, he ran away from home. From that moment on, life became even harder. Harlan worked any job he could find. He was a streetcar conductor, a firefighter, a steam engine stoker, a soldier in the U.S. Army, a salesman, a railroad worker, and an insurance agent. But nothing seemed to work out. Every time he thought he had found stability, something went wrong. He was fired multiple times, went broke again and again, and by the time he was 40 years old, he still had nothing. Finally, at 40 years old, he got a small petrol station in Kentucky. He thought, this is my chance. He started selling fried chicken to travelers, and to his surprise, people loved it. Slowly, word spread, and more people came to taste his special chicken recipe. After so many failures, it looked like his life was finally improving. But then another tragedy struck. The government built a new highway, which meant fewer travelers passing by his petrol station. His business collapsed overnight. Once again, he was broke, jobless, and hopeless. But there was one thing about Colonel Sanders. He was not an ordinary man. He was a fighter. Instead of giving up, he decided to start over. After losing his petrol station and restaurant, Sanders struggled to find any work. At 44, he worked as a cook. At 48, he became a dishwasher. At 50, he managed a motel. But every time he thought he had found stability, something went wrong. He was fired, lost money, and had to move again. Even when he tried opening another restaurant, it was destroyed by fire. Think about this. He lost his father at 5, was forced to work as a child, ran away from home at 12, worked more than 20 jobs, and failed at all of them. He started his first business at 40, and it failed. He tried again, and it burned down. Most people would have given up. They would have thought, maybe I'm just meant to be poor. But not Sanders. He refused to see himself as a failure. Even though his life was a mess, he had one thing that no one else did, his secret fried chicken recipe. People loved his chicken, so he came up with a crazy idea. Instead of opening a restaurant again, he thought, what if I sell my recipe to restaurant owners and get a small commission on every piece of chicken they sell? No one had ever done this before. It was a bold idea, but Sanders had nothing to lose. He was already broke and already failing. So at 62 years old, he put on his white suit, took his chicken recipe, and started knocking on doors. Restaurant owners laughed at him. Some told him to leave. Others said it would never work. He was rejected again and again, not 10 times, not 50 times, not 100 times, but 109 times. Yet he kept going. At an age when most people retire, he was traveling across America, sleeping in his car, eating cheap meals, and facing rejection every day. And then, finally, after 1,009 rejections, one restaurant owner said yes. That one yes changed everything. Slowly, more restaurant owners started using his recipe. Then, at 65 years old, something unbelievable happened. KFC was born. A businessman saw what Sanders was doing and offered to invest. Together, they built Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. And just like that, a man who was broke and jobless at 62 had created a multi-million-dollar business at 65. Imagine a life where you are poor, no one respects you, and people laugh at you. Then, one day, you become the founder of a global brand. This was the turning point for Colonel Sanders. At the age of 65, when most people retire, he built Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, from nothing. The same man who had faced failure multiple times was now the creator of what would soon become one of the most famous fast food chains in the world. His special method of frying chicken, using 11 secret herbs and spices, was something completely new. The crispy, juicy, and flavorful taste captured people's attention, and soon, customers started lining up outside restaurants just to try it. Within a few years, KFC expanded rapidly across America, and by the time Sanders was 73, there were over 600 KFC restaurants. His lifelong dream was finally becoming a reality, but there was one major issue. Colonel Sanders was not a businessman, he was a chef. He loved cooking and serving people, but he disliked handling the business side of things. Managing a rapidly growing company was overwhelming for him. After a lifetime of struggle, even after reaching success, he still had no peace. He traveled across the country trying to oversee everything, yet he felt as if he was losing control. The company was expanding too quickly, and he was too old to handle it on his own. In 1964, at 73 years old, Colonel Sanders made a huge decision. He chose to sell KFC. He sold it to a group of investors for $2 million. While that amount may not seem significant today, at that time, it was a considerable fortune, equivalent to about $20 million in today's money. However, here's the surprising part. He sold KFC for just $2 million, but today, the company is worth over $15 billion. The brand he had built turned out to be worth thousands of times more than what he received for it, and this decision would haunt him for the rest of his life. After selling KFC, Colonel Sanders expected to finally relax and enjoy his success. He had money, fame, and recognition, but there was a major problem. The new owners of KFC started making changes. They lowered the quality of the chicken and switched to cheaper ingredients to increase their profits. When Sanders saw what was happening, he was furious and felt deeply betrayed. KFC was his life's work. He had endured hardships for 65 years to build something incredible, only for it to be altered within a few years. Even though he no longer owned the company, he couldn't remain silent. He began publicly criticizing KFC, going as far as to say, "The stuff they serve today is not my recipe, it's terrible." But no matter how much he complained, he could not reverse his decision. The company was no longer his, and he had to live with that reality. This became his greatest regret. Even after selling KFC, Sanders didn't stop working. His passion for food remained strong, so he opened another restaurant called Claudia Sanders Dinner House, named after his wife. However, due to legal restrictions, he could no longer use the KFC name. Still, he continued traveling the world, visiting KFC locations, meeting fans, and sharing his story. Over time, he became one of the most beloved and recognized businessmen in the world. People saw him as a symbol of perseverance, dedication, and proof that success has no age limit. But soon his journey was coming to an end. In 1980, at the age of 90, Colonel Sanders passed away. His life had been a long journey filled with pain, struggle, failure, and triumph. He experienced the loss of his father at just 5 years old, ran away from home at 12, worked more than 20 different jobs and failed at most of them, started his first business at 40 and lost it, went broke at 62 and had to sleep in his car, faced 1,009 rejections before finally finding success, became a millionaire at 73 and regretted selling his company. Yet, despite it all, he left behind a legacy. Today, KFC has more than 27,000 restaurants in over 150 countries, making it one of the largest food chains in the world. And it all started with an old man who refused to give up. Colonel Sanders' story teaches us that age is just a number. He didn't achieve success until his 60s, proving that it is never too late to start chasing your dreams. Failure is not the end. He faced rejection time and time again, but refused to let setbacks define him. Instead of giving up, he learned from each failure and adjusted his approach. Persistence leads to success. Many people would have quit long before reaching 1,009 rejections, but Sanders kept going, and his perseverance eventually paid off. Following your passion is key. Sanders loved cooking and serving food, and this passion fueled him even in his darkest moments. Most importantly, believing in yourself is crucial. Despite obstacles that could have crushed his spirit, Sanders never let other people's opinions dictate his future. His journey is a perfect example of what can happen when you refuse to quit. Whether you are 25 or 65, you still have the power to change your life. You can take control of your future and make your dreams a reality. The only thing that stands in your way is whether you choose to keep going or surrender when times get tough. If you are struggling right now, remember that you are not alone. You can still achieve your dreams, and no matter how old you are, you still have time to succeed. Take action today. If Colonel Sanders' story has inspired you, don't let fear or doubt stop you. Take a small step toward your goal, whether it's starting a new business, learning a new skill, or simply creating a plan. Success is not a straight path. It is a journey with ups and downs. But if you stay committed, you will reach your destination. No matter where you are in life, it is never too late to start over and turn your dreams into reality. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories that can transform your life. And as always, never give up.